Okay. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve last week's minutes. All in favor, raise your hand or do a hand up emoji. All opposed, raise your hand or do a different heart emoji. And any abstentions? All right. Thank you very much. Those passed. So we will go ahead and move on down the agenda. Oop, that's the minutes. To open forum. Is anyone here for open forum? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to speaker's podium. This evening, we have Dr. Colleen Swain. She's the Associate Provost for Undergraduate and Online Education, and she's come to speak to us about a variety of topics, including course modalities and bookstore textbook availability, among other things. So, Dr. Swain, you have the floor.
Well, thank you so much. And I'm sorry I'm not there with you. I have a little bit of a sore throat tonight. And so I'm hoping that it's just the crazy Texas weather, the hot, the cold, the hot, the cold. And that I'm not really getting sick or anything like that. But I did want to make sure that I kept you all safe. Nothing like having someone blow some germs on you. So thank you for the work that you've been doing. I just want to acknowledge that it has been another kind of challenging year due to COVID and everything, but I just am so impressed and pleased with the work that you are doing. So I just want to thank you for that. I also want to thank you for the way that y'all are working to help improve UT Tyler. And I know that President Jennings is on the end of course task force with me. And I know that I'm able to stand behind many of the things that she is saying from the students' perspective. And I want you to know that the work that you are doing is heard on that. Bringing a couple of issues together for you. And then I know that President Jennings mentioned I was going to talk about course modality. I'm not exactly sure what questions you have on that. And so I'm happy to entertain those questions, but let me go ahead and share some things with you on how we're working and hopefully collaboratively and together to make things even better for students. I'm going to try to say this as delicately as possible, but in terms of bookstore and textbook availability, we had some problems this spring. This was a rough spring for the bookstore. They did have some, their leadership left kind of at book ordering time, evidently. Didn't get people hired, then everybody got COVID at the Christmas break. So it was kind of a perfect storm for them, but certainly a rocky start. But I want to let you know that I am working diligently with the new management of the bookstore, but honestly, I'm working more closely with the regional director of Barnes & Noble Bookstore to make sure that we do not have what we had, the experience that students, that faculty experienced this spring. So I do apologize for that, but hopefully you will see things improve greatly related to that. But if there are particular issues that you would like to bring to me about the bookstore, and again, I'm not going to open that up. Please email me. My email address is cswain@uttyler.edu, because I don't want it to be a bookstore bashing. But if you have specific instances that you want to make sure, thank you for typing that in, that you want me to be aware of so that I can use that as an example of service that we're not happy about, or the areas that we want to see improved, please feel free to do that, because I am communicating with, honestly, the regional manager on an ongoing and regular basis. I'm so excited about some of the things that we have in place to really help students be successful. My area has a goal that for our undergraduate population, that every year from fall to fall, so the complete academic year, that we will see 90% retention. Now we're also, honestly, if you think, 90% retention, hopefully somebody's graduating. Yes. And so we build those into our retention percentages, but we want you to be successful, and we want our students to be making timely progress to graduation. And so we have some things that we are putting in place, but I honestly need your help. And one of the things I need your help with is to help students to start using the EAB app that you can download on your phone. And I want to tell you 2 reasons why you want to do this. First of all, when you download the EAB app, you'll sign in with your UT Tyler credentials, but it will open up and it pulls from PeopleSoft, which is our program that we use, and it will recognize who your advisor is. And if you want to make an appointment with your advisor, instead of having to call or email and kind of wait for those cycles, in EAB, you can click your advisor and say, I want an appointment, and that advisor's appointment book is going to open up. And you're going to be able to see, okay, here's all the appointments that person has open, and you can click on it and set your appointment. So again, your appointments can go faster. We also have students who say, when I talk to students, they're like, I really wanted a study buddy or somebody to help me, but I didn't know anyone in my class. In the EAB app, again, your schedule pops up and you can click. I'm just making this up, that you're in Cal 2. You want study buddies in Cal 2. You can click on study buddy, click on Cal 2, and all the students in your class that also would like a study buddy, those lists, that name shows up. So it's an app that can help you be successful. And so we're really going to start pushing out the EAB app. You'll see that this summer, especially for this upcoming fall, but we really just want to help students to use this tool. You're going to see us really trying to do hard pushes to help students use SI or use tutoring or use Upswing whenever they need help. We don't have SI and tutoring and everything, but with Upswing, it covers about 85% of all undergraduate courses at UT Tyler. And matter of fact, graduate students were using it just as much as undergraduate students. So we really want you to use that if it's helpful. I know that a person doing that one-on-one tutoring is always better. And actually in Upswing, it is a person, but it's just over virtual. But man, at 2 a.m, it's tutoring and you can get some questions answered. The other thing that we're working on implementing is coming out of y'all's meetings with Miss Ashley Bill. I know there's a group of senators working with Miss Bill, and it's academic peer partners. And really it's not a peer advisor, because again, advising, there's some FERPA things that, can't look at, but you know what? Peers have such powerful, influence, and y'all can really help us in so many ways, helping students, our new students, how to figure out how to register, using the PAR. There's, and then also connecting with the academic discipline. So we'll be coming up with some strategies. We'll be bringing those strategies to you for your thoughts on, hey, do you think this will be attractive to students? But with these academic peer partners, we're looking at them being paid positions too, not just volunteering, but where you get trained and you get paid for it as well. So that's some of the things that we're coming up with. I do appreciate SGA working so closely with Ashley on advising. We're working to improve that. We've got all kinds of strategies that we're putting in place, and also strategies that we're putting forward to administration because they require additional resources so that we can provide more consistent advising. And when I say consistent advising, y'all have noticed, we've noticed as well, our advisors turn over quickly, and that's not helpful to you. And so we're working on that. So those are my big points. And then President Jennings, can you tell me a little bit more about what y'all wanted me to answer or talk about with you for course modality? Because I mean, I understand what it means, but not real sure what you want me to talk about.
Sure. So more so, I just kind of wanted to update you from our front. We've been having quite a few conversations, both at the UT Tyler level and Ashlyn and I at UT SAC, about kind of what we've learned with regards to course modalities since COVID, and the fact that many students actually have enjoyed the flexibility that additional online courses and programs have offered. Of course, not every student feels that way, but we definitely feel that there should be at least a couple of flexible tracks going forward. So, you know, I just kind of wanted to put that on your radar, that that's something we've been talking about, and offer you a chance to ask any questions you may have for us about our experience in that regard.
Okay. I have a couple of questions, but boy, I mean, wow, am I lucky or what? Because it was shared, Provost Memoron shared this at Faculty Senate, but they are posting a position for an associate provost for online and continuing education, but we are doing that so we can expand our online options and really work to have high quality, you know, make sure that there are more high quality experiences for students, and honestly expand the number of undergraduate online degrees that might be available. Right now, we have two fully online undergraduate degrees, and they are what we would call is degree completion programs. It's one of those is the BAAS, and that is a program where students, working adults, who often have an associate's degree and have been out in the workforce for a long time, and they want to come back and finish their degree. And this is a faster way for them to have that. And then we have the RN to BSN, and those are nurses who already hold their RN but want to get their bachelor's degree. So we have a lot of opportunity to expand online programming at the undergraduate degree level. So I'm thrilled to hear that this is of interest. Again, I hope, you know, I'm going to shut up in just a second. I swear I am. And let you share with me ideas or thoughts that you would have. But I also hope that if you have ideas, feel free again to email me, because I work with the provost carefully, and we can go to departments and say, hey, we've gotten a groundswell of this would be an area where we might want to have an online program. So now I'm shutting up and letting you tell me lessons learned from the online experiences we've had the last 2 years.
Sure. So I know we've talked about this quite a bit, but did anybody kind of want to provide brief thoughts on the experience? Okay. And, you know, since Dr. Swain is by Zoom, make sure you introduce yourself, please.
Hi, I'm Chloe Dix. I'm representing the College of Arts and Sciences.
Hi, Chloe.
Hi. I really liked being online. My classes as of this is the second week we've been in person with the in-person classes that I'm in. And I'm a student athlete, and I really liked the online options because it was really easy for me to just go straight from class in my apartment to tennis practice. Whereas when we're in person, I have to take my tennis rackets to class with me in my shoes. So I really like that flexibility. And I know other people with other activities that they're participating in, or if they have work, would really appreciate the online flexibility too.
Thank you. That's a great comment.
Hey, Dr. Swain. This is Josh from Manhattan.
Hey, Josh.
Yes, we know each other well. I just wanted to ask, what is the from your position, what is the university expecting to do to balance advance or increase online learning with the QEP initiative, which is to balance, like, create more real world problem solving and real world experiences for students? If I understand the value of online learning. Just how is there any predictive? Is there something in the QEP that's written for that, or do you know anything from your position right now?
I'm going to talk. I'm going to answer your question from the stance of someone who's trained as an educational researcher, and so there's been all different kinds of studies done that you can have just as an engaging and honestly maybe even a more personal experience in an online class, in an online course, depending on how the faculty teaches it. And so it shouldn't, modality, how we deliver it should not matter. And we think about it as delivery format. The instructor has to teach differently. And so this new associate provost that Dr. Memoran is hiring is going to be working with faculty to help elevate that because it's easy to be passive when you're online. You can turn your screen off. It's kind of like when we watch TV. I don't know about y'all, but I watch TV and I realized I missed the end of the show because I was doing other stuff. And so the faculty member has to change how they're doing some things. We can't, it's not the exact same experience, but we can make it just as meaningful. And so with the QEP, I can explore real world problems. That is really hard to say when you're really tired. Real world problems. So real world problems, you can do that very, very well online, just as you can face to face. So I'm not worried about that happening. We need to do a lot in terms of making sure faculty are well equipped, making sure faculty know how to use technologies to make this highly interactive and engaging. And honestly, have students get to where they're also highly interactive and engaged, because honestly, I've been through some online courses where I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to skip to the quiz and hope for the best and move on. And that's not a good way to learn either.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Oh, Keena, go for it.
Okay, so I'm kind of a bit, Keena Holman, Senator of Psychology and Education. I'm kind of curious as to what your thoughts on hybrid classes are. I know a lot of the professors, they take attendance by students attending class face-to-face and writing their names down on a list or something like that. And I know a lot of students in the past have had their grades lowered because of that issue, because they weren't either feeling well enough to go to class or they were having issues traveling to class. So maybe like something about prior approval with the professor, and they could maybe just zoom in on that lecture, like specifically.
Thank you. That's a really good question. I would, to me, that is not a hybrid class. That is a class where the faculty's teaching the class, and as a courtesy, or as they, it's not as a courtesy. Honestly, it was a necessity during the pandemic that we needed to provide a way, if you were sick, that you could watch and interact. the cognitive load to try to teach online and face-to-face at the same time is the educational research kind of shows that that is not a great strategy. When we talk about hybrid classes, we're really talking about a mix of on certain days you come to class and on certain days we're online. What you're trying to describe is this high flex that, you know, that's kind of a term we created during the pandemic of choose whenever, you know. But what we discovered is the faculty member doesn't have, unless that person has as someone in the classroom to help monitor, hey, here's what's happening on the chat. Here's what's happening, because you don't want to ignore either audience. And to be honest with you, this is an old problem. We've got new technology to do it, but there used to be something called interactive TV that we would do. And I sat in on a class in a doctoral program, you know, and the faculty member had the TV so he could, quote, see the other group of students. Well, he consistently ignored them, and he had it so that the class, we could see them, the other class as well. And finally, that other class held up a sign that said, we're all going across the street to Dairy Queen. We'll be back soon. The professor never saw it. Again, he wasn't the greatest instructor anyway, but it's just showing again, you really, it's quite a struggle to do that high flex. But I do think it's important that we continue and to record. Now, some things we can't record. If you're out, if you're in a biology class and you're out in the field or you're out doing some things, we can't be carrying a camera with us and recording that. But in normal classrooms, but the problem is you may not engage as closely because again, the faculty members really purposely teaching that group online. It's very cognitively hard. We have all kinds of research on it that is a challenge.
Yeah, I know for me personally, I pay better attention to in-person classes, so I tend to go to those more versus than online.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So thank you. That's a great question, though. Thank you for asking that. Justin, I think you have your hand up.
Yes. Hi, Colleen.
Hi.
I just wanted to give an opinion as far as like the Houston Engineering Center.
Yes.
For me personally, it's kind of like a mixed bag. With the more difficult classes, of course, I learn better in person. But then there are instances where I kind of would like classes to be online just because I do, if I'm able to work, being that like, I know a lot of our students over here are kind of working like internships during the day and then trying to squeeze in classes as well.
Yes.
So it's kind of mixed. But I know like with a lot of more like hands-on engineering classes, I know that some students do prefer having that in person and kind of seeing the professor teach on the whiteboard as opposed to on Zoom. There does get some disconnect as well with these courses as far as like collaborating with other students. So I'm kind of mixed for sure.
Well, and I really appreciate that. And, you know, Justin, I will say that most of the engineering faculty are pretty good about trying new technologies. And those are hard, and the online simulations are not really the same. You know, I've heard engineering students talk about torque. I'm not really sure what that is, but you know, I don't know that you can feel torque in an online simulation. So there is some loss, but there is value there as well. The great thing is as technology improves and the price of technology goes down, I do think that we can do the augmented reality, the virtual reality, and have more realistic experiences for those hands-on classes. The other thing that you brought up, Justin, is UT Tyler as a university is not very old. This is our 50th year. We're 50. And for a university, that's not very old. And some of the things that, if you go to larger institutions or art, it's just part of going there, having night classes. UT Tyler doesn't have a big night class population, having classes on weekends to better accommodate students. But as we're growing, I think you're gonna see some of these different options that better support students who are at different phases in their life, you know, doing an internship. They work all day and need to go to class at night or on the weekends. So I think you'll see some more of that come as we continue to grow. So, but thank you for bringing up those struggles.
Thank you guys for sharing. And definitely if you have additional feedback, you can pass it on to Dr. Swain directly or email me and I can pass it on to her either way. Dr. Swain, was there anything else that you had for us?
No, I really don't, but please, again, the pandemic has certainly thrown a wrench in my ability to go and visit with y'all as much because I've had additional things added, responsibilities added. But please know that I am here and in your corner, so always feel free to reach out to me.
Thank you so much.
Okay, have a great day, y'all. Thank you again for your hard work.
Thank you. All right. All right. Moving down the agenda to officer reports. This week, I have been working on a couple of things. Number one would be the wellness initiative that we talked about previously. That is in motion. Again, that's next Wednesday at noon. If any of you are interested in attending, let me know. I would love to have additional student representation. The other thing I'm working on is getting a group together to start doing what I'm calling accessibility walks. That doesn't really encompass the entire scope, but basically we want to have a group that just lays eyes on the entirety of campus quarterly to make sure that ADA buttons are working, sidewalks aren't cracked, we have lights where there need to be lights, and it'll be a kind of diverse group of people going around to make sure we can see it from a variety of perspectives. So that's just an idea. Other campuses do that. And so we're going to kind of pilot it this semester. And if it ends up being a really beneficial conversation, that may continue. So those are two of the big things I'm working on. And have a meeting with the mayor on Friday. So that will be fun. As you guys know, we're doing the mentoring program. So I'm looking forward to meeting with him. Would you like to introduce yourself? Wait, I mean, sorry to put pressure on you. We actually have one of our council members here this evening. And so you're welcome to introduce yourself.
Well, thank you for having me tonight. I'm sorry I hadn't been able to make prior SGA meetings, but due to conflicts and out of town. My name is James Wynn. I'm Tyler City Councilman, District 4, which consists of, well, my district's a very odd shaped district. If you can picture the Azalea district and then kind of go towards downtown, turn right, and then loop around UT Tyler's campus and actually across the street, Charleston Park is part of my district, but not right here. So I have a very large district that's spread out, but well, it is what it is. We just went through redistricting and it made it even more confusing for me to figure out who I represent and who I don't. I'm completing my first term on the Tyler City Council. We just went through a period where for someone like me, it's a sleepless week, sleepless nights. It's time to re-up for election. And today at 5 o'clock, I have no opponent. So that's a huge sigh of relief for me. So I don't have to do a campaign, and the other council members don't either. Wanted to mention one thing about what Dr. Swain was saying. When I went to school, this is all foreign. There was no online classes. There was no online. So I applaud y'all for doing that, but I couldn't do it. I had to be in a class where I had a professor, I went to University of Texas and graduated from there. I was liberal arts. I was supposed to go to law school, but didn't make it. But I went to classes that we had roll and you had to be there every day. I couldn't do it sitting, from my desk at home or on my bed or whatever. I have a son that is a sophomore at the University of Texas, and he had to go back to in-person class and got lost because he'd never been on the campus. And so I'm like, we told you after orientation, when you were able to, you need to go back on campus before you go to in-person class. And I can figure it out. So he didn't. But I applaud y'all for, what 19-year-old listens to their parent anyway? But
Absolutely.
I applaud y'all for your ability and your discipline to be able to be focused on a computer through Zoom or what other avenue. But I do agree that in person, and I think it was Justin that said he gets more out of it in person than on a computer. I would learn in person. I wouldn't learn on a computer. So to me, I think education wise, it's better. Maybe that's not ideal for an athlete because of the different things that you would go through, but to be in person. But I thought back when I went to the University of Texas, coming from Tyler, small town, going to a class, it forced me to meet people. And it's hard to meet people on a computer and be able to have a relationship with a fellow classmate, find a study buddy. So that helped me. Whereas if I was on a computer, I couldn't do it.
Yep.
So, oh, and last thing, happy Palindrome Day.
Happy Palindrome Day. It's 22222.
Or Deuce Day, as my kids this morning texted me. Happy Deuce Day.
Yeah, I've heard Tuesday.
So, but thank y'all for having
Tuesday.
me.
Thank you. Sorry to put you on the spot, but we appreciate you being here. And our election signups are open right now. So I believe some people in the room feel your pain on that one. Okay, so that's what I have been up to. Moving on to Vice President Smith.
No, you're fine. So I've been just basically meeting with different heads of departments here. I met with Jamie Dowdy, who's director of Sodexo, and I introduced myself and got to see what his kind of big scheme is for heading into the next 5 years or so, and that was really cool. Learned a lot from him. There's a lot of exciting things that he's planning on doing, including making midnight breakfast even better. And then I also met with Alyssa Finley and talked to her a little bit about maybe expanding our community service options. So that's kind of what I've been working. Oh, and then I also met with Caitlin Kingsbury, who's vice president of the Student Veterans Association. And we discussed about a potential partnership with SGA to do some event. And we're still figuring that out, but yeah.
Great. Secretary Mattern.
This week I've been working with, I guess, events committee, or I guess Landry and Casey for t-shirts, for midnight breakfast. Everything about the election is up. We posted a candidacy. I can't ever say that word. Post on Instagram. All the website is completely updated with all the information. So I'm just waiting now.
Way to go. Treasurer Lembrick.
So last week and right now, I've just been updating the Excel sheet with all the things that SGAC has been approving. That's the only thing that's been actually affecting the account. So we approved about $1,500 to $1,800 so far, but that doesn't mean that we actually spent that. So, we have to wait a little bit for organization and groups to actually spend the money for it to actually affect the real dollar in the account. So, yeah.
Thank you. Chief of Staff Bennett.
So this week, I've been talking with different senators about what they would want to see changed in the Constitution. Then I've also been talking with Casey and Josh and other e-board members about that as well. I also met with Matt Krause and Olivia. Oh, what is?
I don't know. Olivia.
Olivia, she is the residence coordinator over at Patriot Village, my home place. So we discussed before COVID and everything, how we would get our housing senators is that the individual residence hall associations would basically elect these senators to those positions. And since all of them, even the highly successful O Hall one, kind of went belly up because of everything, we have had to elect the senators ourselves through SGA. And so I've been talking with them about not bringing back, I'd say, the specific individual residence hall associations at first, but just one wide-ranging resident student association. And if, say, O Hall wanted to have their own, they could break away, but we still have that whole support structure in place to basically make sure that this doesn't happen again, or it makes it better later on. I also met with Dean Swinberger and the Souls Ambassadors, more along the lines of Winslow. And so I talked to them about the College of Business QEP and how that relates to the wider QEP, and then also how they could help get out to different organizations here in the College of Business about things with like midnight breakfast, other events going on around campus, how we can get more involvement from students here at the College of Business. And so what we'll probably see is more involvement from at least staff from the College of Business. So really
Great.
exciting.
All right. Next up is committee reports. Events committee.
Yes, events met today at 4:30 in person, which was exciting. That's the first time we've been able to do that this semester. And we basically discussed midnight breakfast and the decor. We're trying to have a little bit more this year than we did last year and have stuff that we can save for future years. So we were deciding if we wanted to have a theme, but we also wanted our decor to be for future themes of midnight breakfast and other student government for the future, to be able to accommodate to the decor that we purchased. So we talked about stuff for the Met, because we only had those little circles, limited balloons, we said, and we're looking for a backdrop for the photo booth and have some statement SGA midnight breakfast pieces. So we're excited about that.
Sweet. And one thing we didn't do last semester that would be good is to have a frame for the backdrop rather than trying to adhere it to a wall, because there are strict regulations. You can only use painter's tape. And so especially if we get a sequined reusable background, we need a frame.
Gotcha.
Anyway, that was sort of a tangent. Communications.
Like Ashlyn said, we're talking about making reminders for candidacy meetings and starting to make Instagram posts and kind of advertisements for midnight breakfast next month.
Yay. I think we should definitely work on getting at least some flyers, perhaps, and get it up on the TVs around the UC and everything. So just on your radar. SGAC.
So for last week, we had a couple of people attending. Omar Flores was requesting a total of $500 for their steel bridge competition for AISC. AISC. Then from there, we had Ariana Polis, 515, approved for $86.72 for Rolling Patriots Guild. And that's about it.
Are Omar Flores?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, they're going to be competing this semester. So let's wish them luck.
If for the steel bridge competition for AISC.
AISC, yes, ma'am.
How much was it?
$500.
$500?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. All right. Rules Committee. Soren.
So last night, Rules Committee met at 5:30. We had a very productive meeting. The main things we discussed is we finalized the presentation on an update to the colleges, as well as the update to the amount of Senate seats we have. And we discussed 2 future items that we'll be discussing in future General Assembly meetings. So stay tuned for that.
So we had our first meeting last Thursday. It went really well. We kind of ran through some ideas, did the advantages of disadvantages of those. So for this upcoming meeting, we're just gonna go through like plans of each of those and kind of work that out, and then probably meet with other committees and other people to get these ideas in motion. So.
Yeah, I did want to update you. I talked to Callan Finney with the Tyler Street team about the idea for the clothing swap slash basically sock underwear drive. And she was super supportive and definitely they would be willing to receive those donations if that was something that you guys want to pursue.
Yeah, that's on our list. So
Okay, great. I'd be glad to connect y'all if you are interested.
okay, yeah, that'd be awesome. Thanks.
Okay. Moving on to student voice reports. We have some good ones tonight. College of Arts and Sciences, the Chloes and Daniel, and then College of Business. I'm hoping to hear some about the forum that happened today. So College of Arts and Sciences, go ahead.
Nothing too much to report from me. I did get an email a few days ago relating to advising, which I'd not had before, and it was about advising with athletics and that we get early registration. And so like basically an email said, oh, we'll try and work around your full schedules and everything, which I've never had before. So that shows that advising is improving within CAS and getting better. So that was pretty exciting.
Yes, nothing really new for me either, but I was going to look into maybe meeting with the career success coach. I can't remember her name at the moment, but I remember from last meeting, Bryce mentioned how a lot of the career success stuff was mainly College of Business orientated. And so I was going to look into that. But then I looked at my email and I actually receive a lot of emails about opportunities for that. So that was, I had never noticed that before. So that was good to see that and spread the word on that. And my online classes went in person, and I was actually really proud of my teachers because they kept it pretty similar. They have the same expectations. Like for one of my classes is on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and while we were on Zoom, strictly on Zoom, we had a quiz every Tuesday and Thursday, and if you got there early, you could start the quiz early, and it's the same in person. She just has the same expectations, and both of my professors have the same energy, so I was really glad to see that.
Good consistency.
So not just a whole lot to update on. I did have the opportunity to go and meet with all of the new advisors and Dr. Millette just to make sure, just to introduce myself to them, make sure that they know that we are here to represent everybody that's there. And then made sure that they had my email address, phone number, everything like that. I then also had a conversation with Dr. Guderjan, the department chair for social sciences. We're currently working to see if we can get a trip put together for a group of anthropology students to go over to Louisiana to go work on a dig. That will be taking place sometime around spring break. And then also working to get put together a few weekend trips for his department. So lots
Cool.
of work going on over there in the CAS building.
Yeah, very cool. I don't know if you guys have had a chance yet or not, but I know Dean Gray would definitely love to meet with y'all. So I would recommend that the three of you set that up soon if you haven't already. Okay, College of Business.
Not really too much to report. Dr. Schumberger kind of did that for me last week. He came in and just spoke to the entire Senate. So that was really convenient. I was just going to update you guys on what's happening on his plate, but he did that for himself. So today there was a student panel from 12:30 to 1:30. It had pretty good attendance from what I saw, just because our advisor Roger Sims, the lead undergrad advisor here, use the Navigate app that Colleen Swain was talking about. So I really go to show that that app does work. In that student panel, they talked about parking here at the university, how it could be a little finicky, but it turns out the person who asked about that question didn't know we had a parking garage. So we explained to that, and we discussed possible signage or maybe an email from Chief Matters to try to alleviate that problem for them. They talked about more concentrated courses, specifically for real estate, but that's a department thing that Dr. Schumberger is already working on, trying to get more specific course modality or courses in place. And I also got to meet with the Souls ambassadors today. I already knew a whole bunch of them. It was just formally, hey, I'm the representative from the College of Business, and they're the ambassadors. It was really nice to meet them, and I'm going to start working with them for marketing purposes to get more people out and more people attending their events.
The real estate class was really interesting. So definitely I'd recommend it. It was a great elective.
Yeah. Really Adon covered most of the stuff that's happened. I did ask some of the students because classes did start to come back in person. So I did talk around with some students, see how that's been going. And at least on the technology side of the College of Business, it's been implemented really well. They've been really accommodating on allowing students to either stay online or in person to have that flexibility.
Awesome.
I do have an extra comment. A lot of my classes have decided to use Scantrons for their exams. I think they're outdated, but some professors find it a whole lot easier to grade that way. And the only place for us to get them on campus is through the bookstore, and they were having very large supply issues with that. I think it's alleviated now. Okay. I think it's alleviated now, but students did come up to me with concerns that, hey, I'm not able to take this exam properly if I don't get a Scantron picked up. And
yeah. Yep. I know my classes were supposed to use a Scantron, and we were told to just come and take the test anyway because no one could find any. So yes, Amazon definitely, but we'll keep an eye on that. If we hear more about it, we can let them know. Okay, so on old business, I have the course modality discussion, but I know we talked about that pretty extensively. Did anyone have any additional comments? Want to open a discussion on it? Okay. Anything else to add to old business? Great. Moving on to new business. First up, we have a couple of rules presentations. So I entertain a motion to discuss potential rule changes. Okay, Robert.
Couple. So we just have some very simple changes that we have. It's a little bit bigger so y'all can see it. Y'all can see it all right? Y'all in the back? Okay. So okay. So we are going through a transition whenever we're here merging with UT Health. And so we are going to be adding and changing up the structure of our different colleges. So we are going to change up to 52 total voting members because we are adding different colleges and schools. So the College of Arts and Sciences, y'all are fine. College of Education and Psychology, y'all are fine. College of Engineering, fine. So it'll change. So it was originally the College of Nursing and Health Science, correct? And so now it'll just be the School of Nursing. So is College of Business and Technology because things were merged in with the Department of Education. That's what it is stated on there. So that'll be a little bit of a change. Okay. So the Fish College of Pharmacy, nothing changed. So we will be adding the School of Medical and Biological Sciences and the School of Community and Rural Health. So essentially what this will do is that we will be adding 6 seats to the Senate itself. And essentially we'll be changing the School of Nursing. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. We'll be changing the School of Nursing to
just the School of Nursing instead of and Health Science. And so we'll be adding the School of Medical and Biological Sciences and the School of Community and Rural Health. And another change is that I just gone down here and updated the little quorum section. I found that we didn't like update it even from even years ago. And so I gone in and really updated that. So those are really the only changes that there are that I have to present tonight to be voted on. So any questions? No? Oh, okay. Can I see it? Oh. Oh. Oh.
Okay. Thank you, Robert. Yeah, I suppose. Are there any questions or comments on this? Pretty straightforward. Before the election happens, we want to make sure that our Constitution is reflective of what actually exists. A College of Nursing and Health Sciences does not exist, so we don't want to elect senators to a position for constituencies that are not real. So these are just some necessary updates, in my opinion. So if you guys don't have any questions or comments, then I entertain a motion to vote to approve these changes to our Constitution. Okay, motion by Senator Vargas and seconded by Senator Scott. All in favor, please raise your hand or do a thumbs up emoji. All opposed, raise your hand or do a heart emoji. And any abstentions, raise your hand or do a different emoji. Fantastic. So that passes, it will go into effect and we'll get that updated on the website shortly. Thank you. I entertain a motion to close discussion on this topic. I know we have, yeah. So we also have another presentation of some suggestions. I got it. We have a separate presentation on some suggestions. So that one was more necessary, but these are some suggested changes from our Rules Committee headed up by Senator Kleckler. So I'd like to entertain a motion to allow him to present. Okay. We'll get that shared.
So we have a couple possible changes that we would like to propose, talk about, and see, kind of get y'all's climate and feel on it. So we're going to go over some of these senator positions. We're going to take a trip kind of around the state, look at some other institutions, see what their SGAs look like compared to our SGA. That way y'all have like a good overall climate of the UT system. So here's our current numbers. So here for the University of Texas at Tyler, our average enrollment over the past 5 years has been 9,504 students for the past 5 years. Our current SGA Senate seat total is 46 senators. That gives us an average per capita over the last 5 years of senator to constituent ratio of 207 students for every 1 senator. Our current fall 21 enrollment was 9,331. And then that gives us a current per capita representation of 203 constituents for every 1 senator. That is assuming that we fill all 46 seats. All right, UT San Antonio, average enrollment over the past 5 years, 32,737. They have an average Senate total over the past 5 years of 52 senators, which gives them a representation total of 630 students for every 1 senator. Fall 21 was 34,177. The fall Senate total was 50 senators, which gives them 658 constituents per senator. Two more really quick. Permian Basin, they're going to be a little bit closer to our size, 5,742 over the past 5 years, an average of 24 senators with a per capita of 239 constituents per senator. Current fall enrollment was 5,043. Current Senate total is 24. Per capita is 210 constituents per senator. One last one, this is UT Austin, 51,382, an average of 46 senators, 1,117 constituents per senator. Fall enrollment is 51,938. 47 was their total for fall, and that was 1,105 constituents per senator. So here's some of our proposed changes, and then we'll go into why we're proposing these changes. I will ask that y'all hold all questions until we get all the way through with the presentation.
And no, we are not voting on these tonight.
Yes, we're not voting on these tonight. This is just a discussion point. All right, so currently we've got colleges. Now this is assuming that the previous vote passed, which it did. So right now, each of the colleges has 3. So the black number is the current number. And if we take that current number and we essentially, the proposal would be to knock each senator or each college from 3 representatives to 2 representatives. So you would reduce the number of senators for that. The student body voting at large, essentially we would keep that the same, except instead of having 5 representatives as the general, like all the way at large, we would just have 4. That's to keep it where we have an even number. Student housing, instead of having 2 for every housing complex, we would go down to having 1 for every housing complex. That would be because those haven't traditionally been filled. Satellite campuses would be moving from 2 for each satellite campus down to 1 for each satellite campus. And now we're going to go into a little bit into like the why we chose to kind of propose this. So just to remind y'all, we had 9,331 for our total fall enrollment. And the proposed would be 34 total Senate seats within the Senate, which would give us a per capita of 274 constituents per senator. Now, according to the strategic plan, by the year 2032, we're expected to have around 15,000 students. With that, if we continue with the proposed Senate seats of 34, that will give us a per capita ratio of 441 constituents for each senator, which would put us on par with UT San Antonio, UT Permian Basin, and UT Austin, where we would not have overrepresentation, but we would not have underrepresentation. So that would essentially, these changes would be so that we could prepare for growth along with the university.
And also going back to what I was saying about earlier with the Resident Student Association or whatever we decide to come up with. So originally, the senator or senators that come from that are essentially the spokespeople for those organizations. And so right now, since we do not have those organizations, it is pretty much necessary that we need 2 for each residence hall. However, if we do end up coming up to this, we would only require 1 because they'd essentially be acting as a liaison between the association and student government.
I guess I'm just not really understanding why we would want less senators. If you could go into depth about that a little more, like why do we want to knock them down a bunch of numbers?
So did everybody hear what the question was that was on chat, or did the audio cut out?
I heard it.
Okay, awesome. So to kind of answer and respond to that question would be, if we continue with our current Senate count as we have right now, we would be, by the time that we hit the strategic planning goal of the number of students that we have enrolled, we would have an extreme overrepresentation compared to the other UT system schools. We would also have one of, if not the largest Senate within all of the UT system, for being one of the smaller universities within the entire system. So by having an overrepresentation of students, yes, you have additional people that are involved within the Senate, but you can also get where you have clouded decision making whenever it comes to taking a climate of the entire university.
Okay, and then follow up. You wanted to change the nursing one from 3 to 2. I just don't think that's feasible for nursing just because we have pre-nursing, we have level 1, 2, 3, 4. Right now, we have representation in pre-nursing level 1 and level 4. So simply just putting it down to 2, we're never going to have representation in all of those aspects of nursing, and it just doesn't really work out in that aspect.
Okay. So one thing kind of as a simple response to that would be that not necessarily every college is going to have a 100% catered to Senate count. That would be something that we're looking at specifically so that we comply and we do the best that we can to represent the entirety of the university.
Gotcha.
All right, thank you. All right, so my question was mainly pertaining about the colleges and stuff. What I'm not exactly understanding is why do we need to lower the seats for the colleges, but we still have so many extra seats for student body? Because the way I see it is that the representatives for the colleges basically represent most of the student body too. So why do we need 4 extra seats for the student body? Shouldn't one representative for student body for each class be more than enough?
So those four extra seats for the student body is essentially that as we go throughout the semester, if you want to be appointed to a Senate position, we can put you into one of those other Senate positions. Like with the School of Nursing, things are being taken out of it, and so hopefully that'll help alleviate some sort of representation issue with the School of Nursing. I'm not entirely sure how it'll go about with that. However, we are also having issues filling some college seats to begin with, and also with adding new colleges to the list. I'm not entirely sure how we'll be able to how looking forward be able to fill those seats will be either. So does that answer your question?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
First of all, have we looked at assigning seats to colleges by population of said colleges rather than a flat rate overall? And do you happen to have I understand if you don't, but do you happen to have a graphic of how many seats are currently filled in our current configuration?
I'm going to let Casey respond to this real quick, and then I also have a response.
We have 28 senators, 46 seats.
And then to respond to the portion of the question speaking specifically about the looking at it as a ratio basis, we did look at that, not necessarily as extensively as we did specifically for this, but I can tell you that we did look at that. And with the size of the university as it stands now, that would require multiple changes of the rules to take place over the next 10 years while we're growing to make sure. So even if we say 1 senator for every 1,000 students, we would have 10 people here in the Senate. Versus if we in 10 years from now, that might increase to where we might have more. But even if we say for every 500, we might only have a 20-person Senate. Whereas if we keep it at 500, we'll have a 30-person Senate by the time that we hit later on. So that's where you can kind of you'd have to have multiple changes to make sure that your ratio is adjusting along with the student population, which is why we went with a flat rate over a ratio basis. Other questions?
Oh, okay. 1 second. We're gonna let Justin speak, and then we'll go to you, Beverly.
So yeah, just to touch base on what Lewis was saying, as far as decreasing the number of seats for satellite locations, Houston's a particular location just because there really isn't much student life after classes. And then when we do need representation, it usually comes from a certain discipline. That's what Lewis was saying, that like when we get representatives, it would come from the civil department. It would come from the mechanical department or the electrical department. With Houston in particular, it's just because the only interaction we get with our fellow classmates is during classes, just because nobody really stays on campus, and there really isn't no student life in the Houston location. That was just my thought.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I know that a lot of us don't really get to know exactly what's going on down there in the Houston campus, and so it's really great for y'all to really bring these things to our attention.
I'm just gonna go. So mine is more of a comment. It's Beverly for those who are on Zoom. And I don't want to influence anyone's like ideas on the fact, but as senators, we kind of have to reach out to those people. So I think changing the number doesn't really affect that as long as you're effectively reaching out to those people and getting what they want to be said, to be told here. Yeah, I think that's it.
And I do understand that there within each different college is different, that some colleges seem really regionalized, that, you know, there's a group of students that really keep to, hey, this portion of the college, this discipline of the college, and then there's these students that keep to this discipline of the college, and there's not really much intermixing. However, if you come here to like the College of Business, there's a lot of intermixing with different students. And so really to be able to see which colleges has that intermixing and which ones don't is really good for us to be able to figure out exactly what's the best course of path to go down.
I don't know if you just answered this or not, but kind of going off what Valerie said and what the chat says. So for example, like I don't know what your major is, Daniel, but I'm English and Chloe's math. And I know that we have like very different perspectives on the College of Arts and Sciences. We have different places where our classes are. Like she's very used to the RBN and knows how to navigate that and would really know how to adhere to students who need to know where that is, like new students. And I know the College of Arts and Sciences better. So would there be like, are you guys planning to have like, you have to say a major when you're applying? Like, would there not be able to be 2 senators from the same major, or kind of what would that be like? Like kind of what Valerie said with her nursing, like they need different people who know different things. So what would be the rules for that?
Correct. So essentially what this would do as well, in addition to making sure that we have good representation across the board to grow, this would also increase the competitiveness of becoming a senator. So by by decreasing the number of seats, you increase the constituent outreach that is done by those that are wanting to become part of the student government. And because they had to work harder to get to that level of being there in the student government, they're going to be more apt to continue that outreach to their students and to their constituents to ensure that they know who they are, they have that name recognition, and they're being represented here at the student.
And at the same time, even if you are not representing the College of Business as a senator, I'm still representing the people of the College of Business. I'm still representing the people of the CAS. I'm still representing the people of RBN since I'm here on exec board. I'm able to help out no matter where you are at here on campus with issues relating to what we could do here in SGA and other things having to do with administration. And so even if you are not at your own place, like say if you're a senator for Ornelas, you can still help out students that are there in the College of Business if they're needing help with classes. If you know people that are there in, say, advising, you can help them direct them over. You are not essentially contained to your own Senate seat, that you can help out students from outside of the Senate seat as well. 2 more questions, Soren, and then let's go to my God, Brandon.
Could you tell us a little more about how these changes will be implemented?
Great question. So essentially, the reason that this is being brought up now would be if we were able and we wanted to implement these, they would be theoretically implemented prior to the election cycle. So in that scenario, one scenario that we have looked at would be to implement this for this upcoming election. Another one would be in discussions, then this would be what the e-board would have to work on, specifically Casey in conjunction with Josh, if the Senate chooses to pass this, would be to work to see exactly how it will be implemented either over time in a phase-in process, or if it would be implemented at this election cycle. It just depends on when the Senate passes, if we do pass.
And essentially one thing that we were looking at is in terms of what we would be calling phasing out. this idea would basically be that later on, if there is a Senate, if there's say in the College of Education, a second. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's use the CASP. Since Daniel's graduating, basically the next election around there would only be 2 seats that. Oh, you're graduating too? Oh, okay. So essentially, if we did implement it now, and we did use this sort of phase out process, Daniel, his seat would be vacated, and then Chloe, her seat would be able to be taken by another person coming in and wanting to get a Senate seat. And so we would just not have 3 seats after that. However, with other seats, if there are 3 people running at the same time and they're all running for re-election, then we would not phase out any seats in that college. However, the next time around, if that does come up, that if there are say 2 or just 1 people running for re-election, we would just phase out the 3rd seat, and that 2nd seat would become available.
Y'all just answered my question because I was going to talk about the graduating out thing and timeline.
Meeting with me and Casey have met with the other institutions, through UTSAC and everything. I feel like we are actually super involved with all the students on our campus and things like that. Whereas you don't see a lot of that with the other institutions. Maybe I'm biased just because I'm talking to 2 other representatives from that college. But if what we're doing is working right now, I don't think there's a point in changing it. But I do see where you're coming from. That's my opinion, just talking to the other institutions and things like that.
Thank you.
I know this is something kind of just I don't want to say out of the blue, but just kind of really changing to a lot of things. And I know that a lot of you had other questions as well. I saw one of the other Chloe's wanted to ask another question. If you have any further questions whatsoever, we are not voting on this tonight. And as far as I know, we do not have an official date set on which we are going to be voting on this. And so we'll be looking into that further as we go further into the semester. If you have any questions, comments, or ideas on how we can go about this in a better manner, please email me. If you have my phone number, text me. You can group me. We would really appreciate feedback. If you want to come to Rules Committee, come to Rules Committee. It's really fun. We have it on Mondays at 5:30 up there on the UC 3rd floor over the conference table. And so more the merrier. So if that's it, we are done with our presentation. Motion to close the discussion. Motion closed.
Okay. Next up on the agenda, the SGA Alumni Association. That was Josh's idea. If you don't want to talk about it, we don't have to talk about it tonight, but I definitely would like to hear more about your idea. Sure. Okay, then I entertain a motion to discuss a potential SGA Alumni Association. Okay, motion by Senator Vargas, seconded by Senator Scott. Josh, do you want to? Here, you gotta use the mic. Nope. It's just for our Zoom attendees. So if you want to just stand like right here, that'd be
okay. I can. I mean, my original thought, and I've talked to a lot. I'm sorry, I was just so I could see it, but I didn't want to like see. Oh no, so that's well, original thought is in talking with a lot of people on campus. In my opinion, there's been
Hey guys, the sound cut out.
Oh, that's so weird.
Try it again.
I'll just stand in the front.
Yeah.
Hello.
Can y'all hear him now?
Yes.
All right, great.
So
Thanks.
all that is to say is there's many benefits to alumni organization. We don't really have, after having talked to the director for alumni relations on campus, having talked to the dean of the Sills College Business, there's not really one implemented. Some time ago, there was some sort of alumni association created, but as of right now, it's not strong enough for anyone to like really believe it, including the director of alumni relations. So that is to say, is I'm in favor of like exploring it for student and government because the implementation of it wouldn't be super difficult. I mean, it's as easy as, oh, alumni association, make a LinkedIn group. I know I'm always going to say, talk to me. I'll talk about LinkedIn all the time, but like have a LinkedIn group, something like that. That would just be to expand resources available to current like senators. Cause right now we're current senators, but in 5 years we won't be current senators. So I think that's important because you just, I don't know, it's sad. But I just think that's important because it makes student government stronger. And like, that seems silly to think, oh, I won't be here in 5 years, but it does. And it also makes the institution that we go to stronger. And for me, that's more important than anything because it's still going to be my institution 10 years from now. And like, I just don't feel that because I have no like formal way to connect to alumni. Alumni at this moment don't have a really strong formal way to connect with one another. And it's disadvantaging current students because we have 50 years of alumni and we have no formal way of connecting. They have no formal way of connecting. There's no formal way to donate. And frankly, like you don't want to be 10 years from now, you've never talked to anyone else you graduated with and they go, hey, by the way, you want to donate $20 a month? Like that kind of stuff doesn't work and it doesn't help. So I don't know where it gets started. If student government is one where it starts, we're already leaders. We're already obviously dedicated enough to do this. And I think that would be a place to start. Is it individual colleges? That's something I'm also working on. I just wanted to bring it up and see if it's something in 2 or 3 years when you graduate. Like I want to buy into it. Maybe come back and do a mentorship. Like it sucks that like it's cool that the councilmen are here and the councilwomen are here. It's also like it's limited because how cool would it be for everyone to have a mentor of some kind to reach out to that's done this before, a professional connection, anything like that it's valuable no matter what you do. So I just think it's valuable. I don't really know what the stages would look like yet. I just want to know if people would buy into it because it would suck to set it up and no one does. So that's all I'd say.
I love it. Y'all know Josh and I graduate in 66 days. 65 days in way too few days. And we will both continue to be proud UT Tyler alumni. So just, I guess, general interest, who would be interested in participating in a sort of alumni mentorship? So the majority, that's great. So we'll see what we can do to work on that. I think that, we can set that up. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. So Josh said he was going to speak with the SVP advancement to kind of make sure that that plan aligns with the university's vision. Okay. I entertain a motion to close discussion on this topic. Okay. And then the last thing I have on new business is a discussion about career success. I know we had talked about potentially collaborating with them to co-host an event or support things that they're doing. Get the awareness out there. So I actually talked to, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on her name. No, Leah Velarde, right? Yeah, I spoke with her earlier and she is so excited to the point where she asked if she could come speak next week to us about a potential collaboration. So I imagine that will happen, but I just wanted to put it on y'all's radar be considering things you think that we could do to co-host. Definitely events committee. Toss around some ideas. But she'll be here next week. Cool. All right. Does anyone have anything to add to new business? Okay. I guess.
We didn't close it. Well, this is just a quick point. So I do serve on like the career success, the committee for that, for the career success conference. If y'all have any ideas that y'all want to see for that conference, come and talk to me, please. That way I can take them back to that committee.
Great. Thank you. Anyone have anything to add to new business? Justin. I don't know why I said it that way. Yep.
I motion to open up a discussion about the advising task force.
Yeah.
We got a second.
Go for it. If
So-
someone motions, you just have to second. You don't have to carry said motion unless I entertain a motion. All right.
So, all right. So as y'all know, as of this semester, we had the advising task force started. We had our first meeting, what was it, last month?
January.
January. We met with Beverly Golden and a few other senators. We had a couple ideas get thrown around just to start feeling out on how to better improve the advising issues that multiple schools have had. One idea, so I'm about to throw one idea out there along with one that I've gotten from a couple of students that I've reached out to. The first one was a mix of ideas that we came up with was about having 3 periods throughout the semester where you could meet with your advisor. This was more so just to possibly reduce the workload on advisors that usually happens at the end of the semester. And so the way there could potentially also be smoother communication between the students and the advisor. Another idea, this one was actually, I had quite the productive conversation with Josh Mahennet over here. Yeah, you. He had reminded me of something that I did at my last school actually about advising is self-taught advising. My last school, we used to have a class for freshmen specifically. It was like a 1-credit course where it would teach you about college prep skills. Basically, it would teach you how to look at your me that the College of Business does something like this. Sorry, what? Oh, he was talking to me about this. He told me that the College of Business does something like this too for freshmen. So I had thrown out a newsletter. I do this every now and then. I'll reach out to students asking how they're doing with their classes and stuff. I threw one out earlier today, basically just asking how they're settling in, going back to in-person classes, but I mainly wanted to get their opinions about these ideas for advising. And so it's been a mix. I have heard people agreeing and liking the idea of having multiple periods where you could meet with your advisors, but then I have also heard back from people that they also like the idea of having the self-taught with the class and stuff. But for people who aren't freshmen, I feel like that if you wanted to do this, we could make a workshop, just like a small event where people who aren't freshmen could attend and then they could learn about how to do their own advising. So that was all.
Okay. The newsletter idea is pretty nice. He just sends it out via Canvas to his classmates with general SGA updates, asking questions and asking them how they're doing, which I think is so simple yet so effective. So kudos to you on that. Go ahead, Adon.
I really like the idea of
So I do kind of have like just a quick question on that. I would agree that the group advising is very beneficial. Lots of positive feedback coming out of that. For like the self-taught advising, would y'all wait until after their transcripts are reviewed? Because I know that coming out of a lot of transfer credits coming in, it can get extremely hairy. I know I've done that before, and it's can get a lot of intricacies of what transfers, what doesn't, how it transfers, things of that nature. That's kind of why, I guess, one reason why it is important to meet with a pro staff member where they understand how those courses transfer over and where they can apply specific things within your PAR to make sure that you're graduating on time. So I think that's where it's important, where it's better to meet in a group advising or a one-on-one method rather than trying to handle it all yourself.
Is it good here, you think? Okay. Kind of bouncing off what Daniel said, like I think that people who are first coming to college, it is nice to like have your hand held and do all that sort of stuff with an advisor and have them help you out. But like I know I'm a business major, so like it isn't as complicated as like nursing or whatever, but like I've done my own advising for the past like 3 to 4 semesters now. I've never had a problem. So I think like maybe a combination of like your first year here, you have someone help you out, and then like maybe make the class like a second semester your freshman year thing. I don't know how you do that, but I think like having a mix of both, like both of those would be a good thing.
I actually recently just met with my new advisor. And going over what Bryce said, he
Who's your
a-
advisor?
I can't say he's awesome. I've been talking to him outside of our meeting, but he offered to do my registration. He said that he prefers, the students to do their own, but he can help or whatever like that. I think it's a great idea. He's really, leaning me, or I don't know what the right word is, to being more independent, I guess. It's really nice. So
Great.
yeah.
Anybody else? Okay, then I entertain a motion to close discussion on this topic. A motion by Senator Vargas, seconded by Senator McGinnis. Okay, does anyone else have anything to add to new business? Okay, seeing none. Next up on our agenda is advisor comments. Mr. Advisor, sir, your microphone. Our Zoom
I think I'm
attendees
good
are
here.
important.
All right. So a lot of good discussion today. I think the what caught my attention was more on the rules. The first was set that was passed. There's no issues there. It's kind of an automatic because of the y'all Senate composition. But this is kind of a good segue into the second part that caught my attention. The structure that is currently in place is to ensure that every college is represented. Every institution does it differently, of course, but we have over the years struggled to fill every seat. But what's nice about the structure is it allows ample opportunity to ensure every college has a voice. I have concerns about reducing that number. I really do, because I don't think there's a bad thing about having over representation, because it gives more opportunity to collect constituent feedback. It reduces the number that a student, the overall average, it's less. I think that's a good thing because then it's easier to go out. But it's hard to measure that because it's set up differently, because College of Nursing is one of our larger colleges. There's going to be more students in that area, where some of the other colleges are not going to be as large. And so, but at the same time, we still want to make sure that we give them, those smaller colleges, an opportunity to voice those concerns or what's going good. It's not always bad. We also want to highlight the good things that are going on here. The housing, I think seats were created to ensure that the housing concerns are being adequately addressed. We had a great plan on how we were going to enhance to make sure that those seats were going to always be filled with the creation of RHAs. And then the RHAs were going to feed into those positions. With an RHA is a resident hall association. And so this the students who live in that facility serve on kind of like a mini student government. And they only talk about what's going on in that facility, the good, the bad, the ugly. And then by nature, they come back, they get involved in student government, and then as a larger scale, provide that feedback. COVID hit. So we really weren't able to get the RHAs up and running because everything was kind of turned upside down. So as we hopefully exit the pandemic, I still think I'd like to see that, given a shot. The student body at large positions were kind of broken up a little bit. Originally, it was just 10 at large seats. When I first started here in 2015, that was just implemented. But then the prior student governments decided to fine tune that a little bit to ensure the freshmen have an opportunity to get involved. Because the worst thing you do is have a bunch of upperclassmen tell the freshmen what to do. And so by having it broken down, ensures that every grade level is represented. The one area that I think is missing out of the current composition is our online population. We have nearly 3,000 students that are strictly online students. And I'm not sure if, besides the college, they can still participate as a college senator, but I'm concerned that may not be addressing the online challenges that students face. And so that is the one feedback that I would like to see change. As far as the number, it'd probably be two to three, in my opinion. So I do have a lot of reservations on that change. I don't think it's something that can be passed this semester because I'm going to need to be convinced, and it's not just me. Senior Vice President Tolliver is going to also have to be convinced on this one. And both of us, I think, are going to be on the same page that as of right now, we're going to have some pretty concerns about reducing representation. We want to make sure that all of our students have an opportunity to voice their concerns. Can you pull the agenda back up for me, please? I think on the Alumni Association, I think student government might be able to help with, enhancing our current alumni. I think we do have an Alumni Association. But once again, pandemic really disrupted a lot of things. And so I think our current student groups can help really make sure that not just student government, but other student organizations encourage students to or graduates to participate in the Alumni Association. One of the best So those are two things I want to share. A lot of good things. I do want to just remind students, I'm going to start promoting it on a regular basis. Homecoming is coming up March 21st through the 26th. We're technically 27th. And there's going to be a lot of fun activities, a lot of free food. And then if you've got time at the end of this meeting, I will do an unofficial poll of the t-shirt design to see what y'all's opinions are before I place the order. And so really exciting. I do want to encourage y'all to show up on Saturday for the crawfish because I do not want any extra crawfish. So I'm going to keep saying that every week. And then Friday, I'm hoping to make a big change that will be really exciting to see.
just so you know, Councilman, when City Council is more than welcome to crawfish. We have, how many pounds do we typically order? A lot of crawfish. Okay, so Senator of the Week, moving on to announcements. Give me a drum roll. Macy. Yes. Way to go. We appreciate you stepping up to chair the Environmental Sustainability Committee. Really appreciate it. Can't wait to see what you accomplish the rest of the semester with your team. So thank you very much. Moving on to the election sign-up announcement. Election sign-ups are open. If you're planning on running for a fall senator or executive board seat, make sure you go ahead and complete that. It's on Engage. It's on the link in my bio, etc. You can text me and find it. Also, candidacy meetings start tomorrow. If you want a campaign, you have to complete a candidacy meeting. So email Josh for the Zoom information. Those dates and times are posted on the website. And I believe Ashlyn also put them in a post on our Instagram. Any questions about that? You guys excited? Election time is super hype. I'm not feeling the energy here. Yeah. Thanks. Dawn is bringing the energy. That's it. All right. And then last announcement, it's not up here, but headphone disco, silent disco is happening tomorrow, 7 to 10. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to be there. Landry's totally going to be there. OAC. So show up. It's going to be a lot of fun. Anything else, Adon? What's going on this week?
We have a food truck coming in next week. It was slated to come in Wednesday, but we had concerns due to weather, so we're pushing that back a week. So get excited. We're partnering up with the library. Come learn about all the resources that you guys aren't taking advantage of yet. Did you know that every college has a librarian? That's very cool. Yeah, that's crazy.
Can't wait to hear more about that on Wednesday at the food truck. Soren?
The honor student group Logos is running a trash pickup on Saturday at 9 a.m. So if anyone wants to participate in that, it'll be outside the clinic, I'm pretty sure. So just show up if you want to pick up some trash and get free donuts and stuff.
Sweet. We love a good community service opportunity. Anything else? Awesome. Next week, College of Engineering, Houston Engineering Campus. And then barring anything else you guys have to say, I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion by Senator Vargas, seconded by Senator Govea. All in favor, raise your hand or do a thumbs up emoji. All opposed, raise your hand or do a heart emoji. And any abstentions. Have a great week, everybody.